And we are back for another edition of the TWT Tarashuk podcast, the unknown, unnamed nonsense edition, where myself, Will Tarashuk, T as in Thomas, A-R-A-S-H-U-K, and the man behind the board, Christian Wright, ask random questions, and we get random answers, and we sidebar from there. And when we come back to center, we ask more questions. So, Christian, how are you, my friend? How you doing? It's been a while.
I'm doing well, man. I think it's been, about 2 weeks?
A little bit, yeah. Last time I was here, I was with Joe Malandrino, which was a little stressful. Always interviewing your boss is a little stressful. But the week after that, I interviewed, I guess, her boss's boss after that. So it was like 3 levels up the chain for me. A man who used to work there by the name of Alan Schoenberg. It actually dropped yesterday as of recording this. So that would be about 3 weeks ago by the time this comes out, or last week by the time this comes out. So it was very exciting. I just kept going through this trend of interviewing my bosses, so that's fun.
Yeah. It's funny you say it's nerve-wracking to interview your boss a little bit, and I'm not super in tune with the financial NASDAQ and tuning into those kind of things. So I looked her up. I'm like, oh, this is somebody. I had a celebrity in the studio. Yeah,
no, she's a real person. Obviously it's a real person, but when it comes to that kind of world, she's a big deal in the Twitter financial world. We were at the conference in Miami, and so many people come up to her and treated her like, oh my God, I know you from Twitter. And Joe's like, I have no idea who that is. I'm like, I don't either. So, but it's that kind of a thing. It's funny. Yesterday, do you watch Shark Tank?
From time to time.
So we had Kevin O'Leary on, the bald guy, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been trying to book that for a while, and then things fell through or COVID or what have you. But we finally had him on, and it was virtual, so I had to hop on a Zoom call. But hey, Kevin, this is Will from NASDAQ. I just need you to move your cord. It's showing. So I got to talk to Mr. Wonderful. I'm like, so I'm a celebrity. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Speaking of celebrity interviews, I'm on my second one because first Joe Malandrino. But I got a call out of nowhere last week, right?
Yep.
2:45.
That's good.
It's a radio station in nowhere but Utah, right? And they're saying, your studio? I said, yeah. He said, we need an interview. I said, okay. They said, the guy can't come to your house. Can you do remote? I said, okay. The interview is at 4 o'clock. At 3:15, they're still deliberating whether or not they're going to use me. They're tracking other leads. It's really hectic. I'm trying to get my things together. It gets confirmed. They send me the address. I get there. It is no one but Michael Uslan, the guy responsible for all of the Batman films.
Really?
Yes.
And how is he responsible for the Batman films?
So this is an unknown, unnamed nonsense, talking with Tarashuk kind of story. But basically, he was pissed off. He loved Batman from when he was a little kid. And comic books, I don't know if you know this, their history and their evolution of how they're taken a lot more seriously now. They used to be called funny books.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was fodder. It was for children. It wasn't respected as an American literature art form.
It's still really not.
It's still really not. However, with the transition from there back in the day where it was a joke to even suggest a comic book being on TV or in a movie. Right. And this guy loved Batman. Loved Batman. 12 years old, 1960, Batman comes on for the first time. He's excited, got his color TV the year before. He tunes in, he realizes 20 minutes in that they're making fun of Batman, that it's not to be taken seriously. It's wham, zam, boom, bap.
This is the Adam West Batman.
And he says, this guy's a phenomenal storyteller, but basically he says in that moment, he swore an oath to himself and his friends in his basement while he's watching Batman that I'm going to remove those words from the collective consciousness of the world. Right. So he goes on to college. His professor suggests there's a program that comes out to say you could teach a class if it's never been taught before. You just have to get backing from a department. So he goes to from a professor, goes to his professor. He says, you say Mercury, I say Flash. You say Zeus, I say Superman. All of the platitudes, all the stories are the same. Comic books are modern day mythology, and mythology is accepted. So he says, okay, I'll back you. He goes to the dean. The dean's like, you're teaching funny books? You want to teach funny books in my university? And he shuts him down. He gives him 2 minutes to speak. He cuts him off. And he said, okay, but can I ask you 2 more questions? He asked him, tell me the story of Moses. And he goes, I don't know what kind of game you're trying to play, young man, but I'll play along. So he tells the story of Moses. He says, things were going crazy in Egypt. The Hebrews were oppressed. They were killing the firstborn. They sent little Moses down in a little basket down the river, raised by Egyptians, raised him as his own. He comes back, becomes a hero. He's like, okay, can you tell me the story of Superman? He goes, oh, yeah, I could tell you. Krypton's about to blow up. Krypton's about to be destroyed. They send little Kal-El on a little spaceship. Looks remarkably similar to a wicker basket. Goes to Earth, meets the Kents, raised him as his own, and then he comes back and becomes and he's like, he looks at little Michael here, the guy who's telling his story, and he says, okay, your class is approved. So it became an accredited class in 1970 something, right?
That's fucking wild.
To teach comic books.
That's wild.
So from there, he tells the story, and this whole interview is on it's a Radio West, Utah station, and he says they laugh him out of movie studios. First of all, he goes to DC Comics. He tries to purchase the rights to Batman. They say, look, man, Batman's a joke. He's been a joke for a long time. Nobody cares about Batman. Hollywood doesn't care about Batman. I don't want you to waste your money. He goes, you can't talk me out of it, buys the rights. Gets laughed out of every movie studio for the next 10 years until the Michael Keaton Batman in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, as history tells, it opened the door for all of the other movies. And they came up with the idea that, because the whole idea was for Batman to be respected.
Wait, is this the guy who has a credit in every single Batman movie?
Exactly.
I know who this guy is.
I could pull him up. I could pull up a picture.
Pull him up, because I don't know what he actually looks like. So I was watching, like it was one of those YouTube video essays, and it was like the history of Batman. It was a 3-part history of Batman, and this guy came up for, like, he was a major part of it because he was the one who saw Batman as a serious character in movies. Yeah, he said exactly what you said. He wanted to make it a serious, not just zam, zap, zip, zop, boom, bing, bam, bam, boom.
Exactly.
He wanted to make like a film noir. So he has a credit in every single Batman movie for the rest of time.
Yeah, he does. So he's having a little trouble here pulling it up, but I'll pull it up in a second.
Yeah.
So he's responsible for basically bringing a joke Batman into the modern era. And they even came up with a narrative because they want Batman to be taken seriously. So they're like, how do we, for people who've never seen a comic before, how do we expect them to take seriously a guy who dresses in tights and is, he's dressed like a bat?
You give him bat nipples.
And they're like, oh, the only way is for us to make the story about Bruce Wayne. So they basically gave every other superhero movie the formula on how to do it. He's like, in the interview, he's like, Spider-Man really should be called Peter Parker. Iron Man should really be called Tony Stark. So every movie after that followed that formula. And this is Michael Uslan.
There he is. Dude, he looks like he loves Batman.
Oh, man, there's an old picture here in Batman.
Fucking nerd.
Oh, absolutely. But he swore an oath at 12 years old, and he made it his life's work.
I mean, that's dedication. Respect to that man. I would love to talk to that man. I would love to have him on this podcast.
Oh, he's a phenomenal storyteller.
I bet me and him would gel really well. That's crazy.
Good time. But anyway, that was definitely some unknown nonsense because that's not even one of the questions.
No, that's a great story, though. That is a phenomenal story, and it's okay.
It was complete fluke. I got a call. He was like, the interview's at 4, and things were being deliberated, and I didn't know if it was going to happen, and I didn't even know who it was.
Put that on your resume.
I got there, and it's this huge house, and I'm like, okay, who is this guy? And I didn't know who he was. Until he started talking during the interview, I'm over here looking up on my phone. I'm like, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy in the picture that's telling these stories right now.
This is Batman.
This is the real Batman.
Interesting.
And he said that he never expected Batman to come this far and to be a date movie. It just wasn't respected. He said, I couldn't fathom the idea of...
Yeah, me and my girl had date night. We saw the Batman.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, babe, I want to go see the Batman. She's like, how long is this? Like, it's like 3 hours. She's like, well, all right. Fine. That's true love right there. It's true love.
Definitely. But let's
first question. Let's do it.
Are you a good cook?
Am I a good cook?
Are you a good cook?
That's a tough question to answer because I'm the only one who eats my food. So
that's funny.
The fact that I eat it is a good sign. So I know how to cook. I can follow a recipe.
I mean, would you not eat it? Is that a possibility that you wouldn't eat it if it wasn't good? Like your oatmeal.
yeah. No, I have thrown. That's a good callback. I have thrown out food I have cooked before because I just like it. I think one of them was I put too much lemon in. I don't remember what I was cooking, but like they put measurements in there for a reason. Sometimes guys are like, nah, let's do this. It'll be fine. And no, it's not fine. It was one of those. Like it was a flavor that was just too overpowering and disgusting. But I would say, compared to other people, no, I am not a good cook. But for myself, yeah, I'm a pretty decent cook. I know how to cook. I enjoy cooking for the most part. I like eating what I cook. But I couldn't I need a recipe. I couldn't just take a bunch of ingredients and go, I'll figure something out like I'm Gordon Ramsay.
Right.
But I appreciate good cooking. My buddy Chris and his wife Carly are phenomenal cooks. So Chris, get a load of this. The three of us used to work together. And there was this thing called Meal Pal.
Oh, I remember
You remember Meal Pal?
Yeah, I remember
it
Meal
was
Pal.
like $20 a week, and you could get like three or four meals like on a Sunday or like on an app. You go and pick it up, and it's like a regular portion of food. It was good. But prices went up, and I was losing cash. So I'm joking with Chris. I was like, Chris, I would literally pay you guys to cook me lunch every single day.
So you got your pal.
Yeah.
You got your pal.
I called it the C2 meal plan. It was the Chris and Carly meal plan. So what they would do, they would cook me lunch and bring it in every single day. I was like, Carly would text me in the morning. It's like, by the way, your lunch is this. I know you have dietary restrictions, so I didn't add this. It's all good. And it was fucking amazing. It was the best. I miss it so much. I would still do it. I would still pay them. I would walk down to their house every single day for food. I would pay them to do it every single day.
Well, it's not a.
They're great cooks.
It's not a bad idea if you have friends that are willing to do that.
I mean, dude, honestly, every now and then Chris will call me like, yo, what are you doing Friday night? I'm making pizza. Come over. The guy makes his own dough from scratch. The guy makes his own pizza from scratch. It's phenomenal. So in comparison to them, I am a trash cook. But Christian, you strike me as someone who can cook. Maybe not.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm not, kind of as you said, I'm not a come in there and just explore. I have ideas.
Yeah.
And when I do cook, it turns out really well.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm the type of guy who starts off with a recipe, and then once I've done that recipe, I know what I want to change. I know what I want to modify.
Yeah.
It personally baffles me that there are bad cooks out there, because all you got to do is follow instructions.
Yeah, like, it's not hard. It really isn't hard. I remember when I first graduated college and I moved out, I cooked a lot of pasta because that's the only thing I really knew how to cook. It was pasta, some veggies in the pan, some meat sauce, and then I put it all together and I had food for a few days. It was great.
It's not rocket science. Some people really have a hard time making good food. And
Yeah.
It's like just follow the instructions.
I Googled easy recipes and I bookmarked them and I pull up on my phone. I still have those bookmarks actually of food I don't cook anymore. Because now I do Dinnerly, the delivery food box. So I got 3 meals in my fridge right now just waiting to be cooked. And they last. They're 2 portions, so I usually have leftovers, and it's good. It's $50 a week. And if you're out there and you don't know how to cook and you want to learn how to cook, do a meal delivery like a HelloFresh, a Dinnerly, a one I can't remember the name of because I used it, but I go back and forth. But Dinnerly is probably the cheapest one for the most variety. It's personally, they're not our sponsor, but I love them and I use them. They're great.
Yeah, I don't. It's Yeah, I thought Meal Pal was good, but it was one of those things where I kept not fulfilling it and I was wasting my money.
Oh no, I used it all the time. I worked in the city every day. Well, the thing was,
and so did I. It's just like I was working so hard.
Yeah,
I was skipping meals.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, it's one thing to skip a meal, and you skip a meal, and you're like, okay, I saved money today. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't save money today.
You lost nutrients.
Yeah, you lost nutrients and you lost money because you paid for that. You paid for that Meal Pal either way.
Yeah, dude, there have been times I got a Dinnerly order. and I ended up throwing out the last meal because I just didn't cook it in time. I just either got lazy or I got too busy. Like you said, I was working so hard I was skipping meals. Because I work through lunch every single day. I don't eat lunch. Typically, I'll eat something. There's another question on here. What's your eating schedule? So we'll go to that one next. What's your eating schedule? That's the next question.
Okay.
Eating schedule is I eat when I'm hungry, right? I cook when I'm hungry, and I think that's the best way to do it. The whole 3-meal structure to me is complete bullshit.
You think it's flawed?
I think it's very flawed. I think it's completely made up.
Well, if we're talking, like realistically, like how we were actually supposed to eat as humans,
it should be 5 small meals a day.
What do they call that? The paleo? There's so many different diets.
I forget. It's like the paleo diet or something.
Paleo.
But it's probably the best way to eat is you eat when you're hungry, right? It sounds so simple. It sounds so basic.
Well, we are creatures of habit, though.
Well, here's the thing. I understand the 3-meal structure because it just makes sense. Also because it makes even more sense if you have kids. Right?
It makes a lot more sense.
It makes life so much easier. You wake up, kids need to eat something in the morning. Breakfast is the most important meal for a kid.
You're like, listen, kid, I'm not dealing with this. We're not doing it the way I do it. When you get hungry, you're going to eat at these 3 different times.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. It's just so you can plan. Like for me, I live alone. I'm legally single. I can eat and do whatever I want.
I love how you just made that distinction.
Legally single. Yeah, I'm legally single. So when you have kids,
I love that. I'm gonna start saying that, man. That's a good one.
Legally single is a great phrase. It's a great term phrase.
Just in case my girl is tuned in.
Oh, she tunes into everything.
Yeah.
Although she doesn't listen to my wrestling podcast, where I get to talk shit, so it's pretty fun. Spoiler alert. But yeah, legally single, so I can eat whenever I want. But when you have kids, you gotta feed them, right? So it's
yeah. I think that's important.
And they're very bad at telling you when they're hungry. So you gotta have.
Well, what kind of kids we're talking about? Are we talking the babies?
Both, all kids.
Because I feel like kids, they're very, very talented at telling you they're hungry, like annoyingly so.
I guess. I mean, if it's only when you can't feed them. Only when you can't feed them, like. You're in a car ride in Nebraska and there's no gas station for miles, and that's when they're hungry.
That is when they get hungry.
That's when they're hungry. You go, you should have eaten your breakfast.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I eat when I'm hungry. The 3-meal structure I think is bullshit. Mostly, I'll eat one giant meal at the end of the day, and maybe something small in the morning, like a bowl of cereal, bagel, a few eggs, what have you. And then, because I work through the day. I'm working with Jill throughout the day. We work straight through lunch, and I can't really eat while I'm streaming live.
Right.
It's kind of difficult.
Right.
But yeah, I eat when I'm hungry, and it works. And I think I'm relatively healthy. I keep my dietary restrictions, and fasting. Fasting is big to me. I also believe you should do all of your eating in an 8-hour window.
That's another name of a particular. That's called intermittent.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, intermittent fasting.
I definitely believe in intermittent fasting, and you should not eat after 8 o'clock. I try not to eat because that's how you gain weight and how you get fat. Whereas like if you eat something at like 11 o'clock at night and then go to bed, like your stomach is digesting in the middle of the night, and it's just like it's just very bad for you. Because most of your digestion should be done when you're awake.
Definitely.
I think. I'm not a nutritionist. Don't quote me on that.
Definitely. My eating habits, I'd love to say that I eat when I'm hungry, but I don't. I have a bad habit of ignoring when my stomach starts rumbling because I get very into my work.
Me too.
And hours will go by, and I will eat once the freight train hits me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like borderline. This is terrible. This is going out there. It's like, oh, this guy, he has a problem. Sometimes it's like not every day, but some days when I get really caught up in my work, I'll be like lethargic, and it's like I don't even have enough energy to cook. that's when sometimes I eat. But I'd say I'm good with breakfast. and I'm good with dinner. It's usually lunch that gets skipped
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Are you a snacker? Do you snack?
I'm not a snacker.
I am also not a snacker.
I mean, the closest thing for snacks for me is like if I'm in a recording studio session and I didn't eat and I know it's going to be a long one, sometimes I'll like have some pretzels or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They serve a purpose. Like, I only snack at parties. Like, if I'm at a family party, it's a bowl of Doritos. I'll eat a shit ton of those Doritos. A bowl of Ruffles with some French onion dip. Ugh, the best.
My ex-girlfriend used to get pissed off at me because I wasn't a snacker. Because you go into a store and should pick up like all the goodies, and she's like, "You want anything?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, I like food. Like I don't I don't want some sun chips or like I like food. I don't like you know what I'm saying? Like,
this is just mouth pleasure. You just want to chew on something.
I mean, some people like junk food snacks.
Yeah.
Like not that they eat them all the time.
Some people like healthy snacks too. Like
like snacks in general. Like I just like it's for what?
Although every now and then I'll walk into CVS or not Trader Joe's. I live next to a King's supermarket. And I'll just get that box of plantain chips, and they're salted, and they're delicious, and I'll eat pretty much the whole thing in 2.5 days. It's gone. It's a pretty big box too. Delicious. If I am snacking, every now and then I'll get some Nilla wafers. I love Nilla wafers. Like, I do have my go-to snacks, but I buy them very, very rarely because it's a waste of money and it's a waste of food, and it's just like they're not good for you, like, at all.
Right.
So yeah,
Let's
make me hungry. I'm gonna have to stop and get food after this.
Yeah, and the thing is, while we're talking about this, I have not eaten today.
Yeah, I haven't eaten since noon.
I didn't eat today at all. I've been working since this morning. Situation where I had thought the session was an hour later than it was.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Oh no, not this one.
Oh, not this one. It's
no,
not my bad.
One earlier.
All right.
And I was like, I started scrambling, and I didn't eat. So I'm actually just living on coffee right now.
See, I also don't drink coffee. I do not drink. Can you believe that? I don't drink coffee.
Oh my God! If you did,
if I did, it might be a problem. It's like I got all this pent up aggression and energy and rage in my life, but I don't drink coffee. I'll sip Jazz's coffee. Every time she gets a coffee, I have some sips to see if I like it, and like 6 times out of 10, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean,
coffee's a waste of money to me.
You have to like the taste of coffee.
Yeah.
Personally, I cannot pride myself as a real coffee person because I've been negatively conditioned by places like Starbucks who put an obscene amount of sugar. Mm-hmm. I could say when I was younger, I'd probably drink coffee that tastes like coffee. Now it's coffee candy.
Although I will say, anytime I go to a diner, I don't care what time of day it is, I get a coffee.
Why?
It's because it's just what I do.
Does it taste differently, or
dude, I don't know.
Or is it just like you obsessed over old movies with like detectives and
I don't know. Dude. It's just like when I'm at a diner, right? I get breakfast food, and I get a coffee. Or if I'm out to eat at breakfast, it doesn't have to be a diner. Like if it can be like a breakfast place, like an IHOP. I don't consider IHOP a diner. I'll get a coffee at IHOP.
Oh, I love IHOP.
I love IHOP. It could be 3 PM. I'll get pancakes and coffee.
I think I'm getting some IHOP tomorrow.
Oh.
I've been having conversations about IHOP, and for it to come up this much, it's just a sign.
Yeah, I drove by it on the way here. I was like, I kind of want some IHOP.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Christian, we can go get IHOP another day. Next question.
Do you consider aging a disease? I'd say it is, because this is what I would say. I'd say it is a disease because rich people, actors, celebrities, they can afford and have the resources to slow down that process. They special products, special medicine, and there's actors that are 60s that are in their 60s that look like they're 40 years old. It's about quality of life.
You know how old Paul Rudd is?
And stress. Yeah. How old is Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd's like in his mid to late 50s. Pull up a picture of Paul Rudd. He's like in his mid 50s, and he looks like he's still 30. Like, he hasn't aged a day. It's unbelievable how good he looks. And to your point, he always probably has good genetics, but to your point, he can afford a healthy lifestyle. Right?
And a lot of it comes down to stress.
Yeah, that too.
Less stress.
Look at him. Gorgeous. He's a beautiful man.
How old is this guy?
Now go to
Let's
this
see how
regular
old-
Google
let's see-
search.
let's
Guess.
see how old
I'm
it-
gonna guess 56.
56?
56. I'm guessing.
I'm
Scroll down.
gonna say 52. Let's see. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this 2022.
Yeah, it's
throwing off
Paul
our
Rudd
search.
age.
Paul Rudd, 53.
53.
Ah, yeah, I'm
All
good.
right.
I'm good.
Oh, he was born in Passaic? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of famous people from Jersey.
Hell yeah, dude. Repping New Jersey. So yeah, is aging a disease? You know, this really comes from, I believe his name is David Sinclair. He's been on Rogan multiple times, which where I heard of him, and he got the idea from me that
Is this an age expert? Aging?
I guess an aging expert. I guess, is it a disease?
Because not every celebrity actually
Some
Like,
celebrities
not-
age
not-
terribly.
like not every celebrity gets work done. Some of them are
Yeah.
just living great lives, free of stress, millions of dollars, and they work when they want. I mean, you make $20 million off a film, you do one film. You're stressed for a very short time period.
yeah.
Maybe it takes 6 months to make a year. But then you chill for a bit.
Aging is definitely a process, right? And it can be rapidly quick, or it can be slowed depending on your lifestyle choices, et cetera, et cetera. But to call it a disease might be a stretch.
Well, it is terminal.
It is terminal, but like,
It's a terminal disease.
is it really?
It gets everybody.
Can it be a disease? Again, that's another point. Can it be considered a disease if everybody, every living thing, like even plants age, right? Trees age. Everything on this planet, rocks age, right? Like sediment things. Everything ages. But rocks don't die.
Yeah, they're
You're
not.
gonna tell me rocks have a disease, but they age. You know what I mean?
Well, you want to
And, like,
do this thing where we look up the definition of a disease?
Yes, I do. I really do.
Let's see if we could, because this might put an end to it before it's even started. Realistically, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, Google disease. Throw it up on the screen. What do we got here?
All right.
A disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant. Okay, so rocks don't count, especially one that produces specific signs or symptoms or that affects a specific location, is not simply a direct result of physical injury. Okay, so a specific location.
Earth.
No. I'm just saying, like, what
Like a disease breakout.
if you had
like an epidemic, a pandemic.
Like if you have, like, I have Crohn's, right? That's an intestinal disease. That is a disease from my intestines. Cancer, like brain cancer, is a brain disease.
Okay, so it affects a specific location. They're not referring to pandemics. They mean a particular part of the body.
Right. Like COVID was a disease that affected respiratory. It was a respiratory disease.
Okay.
Right? So pandemics, yeah, that's a disease. You know, like even like arthritis is a disease that affects your joints.
But what if you have a muscle degenerative disease that could be considered kind of everywhere? But I guess
that's
it's
targeted towards the muscles.
It's still specific.
What does aging target? Like, all of those diseases are symptoms of aging.
Right.
So
I'm really trying to fight for this.
I don't know. I'm on the fence. That's why I'm stuck. I don't know what to fucking think. Like, I like the idea of thinking it is a disease, because diseases can be cured or at least treated. Is there treatment for aging? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's gonna get you. You're fucking done, son. It's gonna happen. You can slow a disease through a process, but it's gonna get you. Like, you are born with this terminal disease that's called aging. Now, David Sinclair is a researcher who tries to fight back against aging. I think his goal is he wants to reverse aging to the point where you stop aging to an extent, which to me sounds like a sci-fi movie. It's like a Batman movie.
Do you know that there's immortality is possible? We just haven't figured out how to do it for humans. Did you know that?
Well, what is immortal? I guess rocks.
No. A living thing.
What do you got? I guess. What?
So I mean, I could pull this up too. But
Yeah, pull it up.
It is there's a specific jellyfish that never dies. It regenerates. It's like, I don't even think it actually ever dies. It might regenerate itself, but it technically never dies. It's the same jellyfish.
So, like, if you, like, sharp a shotgun, would it die?
Well, I don't know if So immortality in the sense where you're not trying to kill
Right. So it won't naturally die on its own.
it. It doesn't die of it can't die of natural causes.
All right. So So in that case,
So you know what? I'm gonna pull that up. It actually, I don't know what the scientific term is.
yeah. So if there's a cure.
Oh, it looks like it actually resets when it's damaged.
The immortal jellyfish that resets when damaged.
And this is the name of it. This
yeah.
thing
I
want to hear you try to pronounce this.
No, you don't. Hey, scroll down. Okay, dude, no. The Teraposis Dorni. I don't know why I got L's. There's no L in there.
The Teratopsis dornil. Okay. All right.
Dorni. There's no L.
That's not an L. That's not an L.
Teratopsis Dorni. It's Italian. Dorni. Teratopsis Dorni.
Yeah.
Got me inner Godfather in me. I'm Italian. I can do that. It's okay. Yeah, aging a disease? I like to think of it as a yes, but I just like.
Oh, it officially is the only immortal creature. So yeah, there you go.
I think it's a cop out to call it a disease. I think it's cheating.
A cop out in what sense?
Because it's not fair, right? It's like I don't want to have I don't want another disease. I already got a few. I got asthma. I got anxiety, OCD. Is anxiety a disease? No. Anxiety is a mental disorder. It's not a disease.
Well,
but asthma's a disease.
I think depression is considered a disease.
They consider alcoholism a disease, so it's addiction. Addiction's a disease. It's the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's okay. If someone's like, listen, anxiety is a disease, I'm not gonna be like, fuck you, you're wrong. Right? Like, whatever. Fine. If you consider a disease. But aging, I don't know. That's tough. I'm going to see what the comments say about this one. Do you consider aging a disease? And David Sinclair, man, listen to his Rogan.
What's his take?
He 1,000% calls it a disease.
Okay.
He says it fits every criteria of a disease. It's but it's like it's not something you can
except the criteria of the definition itself.
I guess. Right, because like cancer's a disease. You can track and locate the cancer through a tumor or wherever it is in the body, right? So you know what you're attacking. There's no physical thing behind aging.
Right.
Right? Like there's no physical symptoms other than other diseases.
Right. No, there's no symptoms. I mean,
that or it's the ultimate disease.
All right, next question.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? That's a bit of a head scratcher. Next question.
What's the best streaming service?
Oh, that's a good question. What's the best? Okay, let's run through.
I feel like we got to speak to what do you define as best? The most content? Or are we talking about quantity or quality here? Because if it's about quantity, that's easy.
YouTube's the best then.
Well, I was referring to like Netflix, the Hulu's, the Amazons.
Yeah.
Of the world.
Okay. Let's define streaming service. It's something you have to pay for. That's the criteria I'm gonna go by. Because like
there's Red. I mean
YouTube. I guess YouTube.
What is it? YouTube Red.
YouTube TV.
YouTube TV
or whatever. All right, so if you want to consider YouTube TV, but that's like if I'm gonna include all of YouTube,
but again,
free,
the stuff on YouTube TV, I haven't delved really. I don't do
YouTube TV.
I haven't dived into it, so I'm not even sure if they actually have shows or if it's just movies.
But in terms of what I watch the most, in terms of streaming, it's YouTube. Hands down, it's fucking YouTube. I watch more YouTube.
But that's not even fair. That's not even fair.
Right? Because it's free.
Well,
right?
it's free, and YouTube has been around since like 2006.
Well, so is Netflix.
No, Netflix wasn't out. That Netflix is
Netflix was a
yeah, they tried to
block, but it was mail order DVDs.
But we're talking about streaming though.
Right. Okay. As a streaming service, Netflix probably popped off.
Netflix is new.
Around 2009.
Like YouTube is like the grandfather.
Yeah, get grandfathered in. So if we include YouTube, I'm saying YouTube because it's the one I watch the most.
Right.
Right. So how I'm defining best is what I
What you
watch
like?
the most. Yeah, of course. Best is what it's subjective. It's like what's the answer to this? There isn't one, right? This is strictly an opinionated question.
Oh, for sure.
Like most of these questions. Like if I'm just gonna go stuff you pay for, I'm gonna go HBO Max. I think HBO Max is a phenomenal service.
I mean, they're great. One of the biggest reasons why there's an argument to be made is that with this new pandemic world that we live in, you got movies in the theaters that you could just stream
On HBO.
I think it's Warner Brothers they're partnered with.
Yeah. No, Warner Brothers owns HBO.
Right. And you could Disney movies and Warner Brothers. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an argument to be made. But not nearly as many titles as the other. They're getting up there, but not nearly as many titles as Amazon, as Netflix, even arguably Hulu. HBO Max versus Hulu.
The one thing I will say about HBO Max is that their new content, for the most part, is very, very hit or miss. Like they'll have every now and then, like Euphoria is great.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big hit for them. You know, Bill Maher's been on there forever, who I watch. I love Bill Maher. John Oliver's on his 9th or 10th season. He's been on there a while. He's great. Game of Thrones ended, so that was a big hit for them. You can go back and watch the old Game of Thrones, like The Wire is still great to watch.
The what? Sopranos?
Sopranos is still great to watch.
Oh, you're real Italian for saying it that way.
Like Sopranos?
Yeah.
Like
you don't say Sopranos, you say Sopranos.
I give HBO Max the edge because of their older content. Like Jazz and I have been watching all the Final Destination movies because I've never seen them. They're all on HBO. Like I wanted to watch The Mummy.
That's such a Netflix title. Why is that on HBO?
Because dude,
because Final Destination. Come on, it's not. It's Final Destination isn't.
Who owns it? Who made the movie? If Warner Brothers made the movie and owns the movie, that's why it's on Netflix. Because they have the library. They own so much. HBO can have so much stuff on there because their parent company owns so much.
However, we're in the modern era where movie houses aren't winning. Streaming is winning.
Yeah, of course.
So, historically, with all the stuff that Warner Brothers owns, for sure. But in the new age, you know, you got Netflix originals, Amazon originals, Hulu originals, Peacock originals.
Peacock sucks. I hate Peacock.
Oh my God. I did a free trial of Peacock just to watch the new modern Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's fair.
Which was all right. Season finale sucked, but everything else in between.
Well, if this question was asked a few years ago, I would have said the WWE Network.
Oh boy.
Because I know, super niche, but as a wrestling fan, it was perfect. Absolutely. If you ask any Mark out there who likes wrestling, who was subscribed to the network, they will tell you how much they miss it because it got bought by Peacock. Peacock paid them $1 billion, or NBC paid them $1 billion.
Man, that's a power move.
I'm serious, dude.
All the wrestling fans.
I'm not exaggerating.
All the wrestling fans.
$1 billion deal, and they absorbed the network. All of the content from the network has been streamlined over to Peacock. It sucks because what the network was incredibly organized, specifically tailor-made for wrestling. So, like, say, Christian, you wanted to watch WrestleMania 17 on the WWE Network, but you wanted to watch a specific match, like the ladder match, which is super famous. What the network did was you would play the video and you would skip from match to match through pretty much through chapters, like a scene selection built into the streaming service,
right?
Which no other platform has. So when they merged over to Peacock, they couldn't take that feature in there because it wasn't coded into their platform, and they're not going to do that because it only really works for wrestling. So instead, if I want to go find that ladder match, I have to fast forward and hope I get it right. So I would have said WWE Network because it was just perfect, but I can't because Peacock bought them, so fuck Peacock.
I'm going to say Netflix.
Netflix is king.
I'm going to say Netflix just because Netflix is the Uber of streaming. Even when, and I've driven Lyft. Even when people are in my Lyft, they say, I'm in an Uber. They're on the phone. Where are you doing? I'm in an Uber.
An Uber. Yeah.
And I'm
you're right.
And I'm like, man, I don't even like this job. but say that you were in a Lyft. Respect my title.
Uber denied me.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say Netflix is probably because they were the visionaries.
Yeah.
I mean, excluding YouTube, but YouTube wasn't thinking about shows and movies.
Well, YouTube is
they weren't thinking about that. YouTube is a newcomer to the block when it comes to movies and television shows. They just added that.
YouTube is also a platform that is only content made by others. Right? Like individual, and anyone can do it.
They're not there yet? They don't have YouTube originals yet?
I mean, they probably do, but their bread and butter is people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't upload my podcast to Netflix. They have to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another distinction between YouTube and the rest of streaming services, where YouTube is readily available to everybody.
Right.
As opposed to like Netflix, they have to buy it. I still love Netflix. You know, I'm still subscribed to Netflix. I still watch Netflix. However, Netflix has a very poor business model. It was an excellent business model for its time because it was brand new, it was affordable, and everyone wanted to be on Netflix. However, the one thing they don't have is the rights to old content, which is the one-up that a Hulu, an Amazon, or specifically a Warner Brothers and HBO have, because they have their library of 100 years of stuff to put on. Like, iRobot is on HBO, and I can't wait to rewatch iRobot with Will Smith.
Right.
But, like, that won't be on Netflix because Netflix doesn't have the rights. So HBO has that double 1-2 punch of the old stuff
They have the originals.
And the original stuff for people who care about original content. Netflix doesn't have that, which is why their business model is going to fail because it costs so much to produce these shows.
Well, they do acquire. It takes them a while, though.
Yeah, but they're stuck in.
They have to make more deals that aren't already done.
Yeah, and they're stuck in a subscriber model. The only way Netflix can make money is through subscribers. That's it.
Because they acquire the rights to a lot of movies and cult following TV shows,
yeah,
but
like
I
Breaking
guess
Bad.
the
Breaking
point,
Bad
yeah,
was huge.
I mean that's huge.
But that contract,
and that was originally, we know that was an AMC show, but I believe it was originally on Amazon. Like Sopranos was originally on Amazon Prime.
No, it was also
not originally. It was originally on HBO.
It was also on. It was also
Amazon
able to
Prime.
watch on Prime. That's
Right,
correct.
because it was. We all know it was HBO.
Yeah, but
So it's funny
partnership
how
with Amazon.
these streaming platforms, they make power moves.
Yeah.
They said, oh, like I was very, very upset when the show 24, which was a Fox show.
It's Fox.
It was on Prime. Actually, no.
No, it was. It was
on Prime.
It was on Prime.
It was on
I
Prime.
watched a few seasons on Prime.
And I've watched that show too many times to count.
It's on Hulu now.
And it moved to Hulu.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
And it was at that moment where I subscribed to Hulu.
Yeah.
You know, power moves that a lot of these streaming services make. But now we're going off on a tangent.
Like, I'm telling you, that older content is just as valuable,
if not more valuable.
if not more valuable than new content. People love their member berries, which is why Paramount Plus for me is a sleeper, because they have all of Nickelodeon, and they have so much. Like, Paramount owns a shit ton of stuff as well, so there's a lot of cool stuff on Paramount, and they have a deal with South Park where only new stuff with South Park goes on Paramount. So, like, they have stuff to work out there, but there's so many services out there, I can't buy all of them. There's only so much password sharing you can do. But for me, it's HBO and YouTube. That's what I watch the most of. That is appointment television for me.
Right. I feel like we need to laugh a little bit.
All right, we can do one more question.
Should we free the nipple?
Ah, fuck yeah, we should free the nipple. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, free the nipple. You know,
we don't have these issues in other countries. They respect the nipple. They give the nipple the respect it deserves, and it's not a crime like public nudity. You know, there's nude beaches, all types of things.
Yeah. I had a whole rant to go on when I wrote this question down, but I completely forget what it was. But you know, like I saw a woman on the 4th of July. We went to the Ellis Island and Liberty Island to see a Statue of Liberty, because we've ever been there. And on the ferry back, waiting in line, this one was just breastfeeding, this titty out, breastfeeding,
Whole titty out.
whole titty out. Nice. It's nice. But like the fact that that's frowned upon is utterly insane to me. Like, we hate nipples so much, we're gonna deprive you your right to feed your child.
Yo, the baby gotta eat.
The baby gotta eat.
The baby gotta eat.
Baby gotta eat.
Baby gotta eat.
And don't tell anyone this chick was hot. She was a very attractive female.
Yeah, and the baby was getting his meal.
Yeah, but I was just like, this baby looks a little old to be breastfeeding. So I turn to Jazz. I go, how old do you think babies are when they get teeth? And she's
I'm not a woman. I'm not. We're not women, so we probably don't know. They probably know. But what is the age where a woman stops breastfeeding? Like, how old is the child?
That's probably when they start teething.
Because we've seen it in films where they make jokes about it, where like there'll be like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and it's just like, come here, ma. Type of thing. But we could look that up.
Yeah, that's fine. But free the nipple? Yeah, we should totally free the nipple. Like, nipples are fine. Nipples are great. No problem with nipples. But there was this whole. I really wish I remembered this rant I wanted to go on, because there was this whole like. Oh, I remember what it was. We were watching a Jubilee video.
Oh my God! I looked this up. It says it's up to you.
What do you mean? Oh, for when to stop breastfeeding a kid?
It's up to the parent.
Well, I mean, duh. I'm not saying that there should be a law around when you can't
no,
breastfeed a kid.
of course, there isn't a law, but
like there's no recommendation.
There's no recommendation. It says gradually introduce appropriate foods after 6 months while continue to breastfeed for 2 years. Here's the important part, or beyond.
All right, so yeah, 2 years sounds right. So this baby was definitely under 2 years old, because I was just like, that's what made me think, when did babies start teething? She's like, why do you ask? I go, oh, no reason. I'm just wondering. She's like, where did this question come from? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
So yeah, I think we should free the nipple.
Free the nipple, man.
Free the nipple. But
the thing is, like,
the thing.
Women get sexualized extremely, but that's because of the way things like keeping the nipple under lockdown.
Okay, I remember. So what would happen if we freed the nipple, right?
Well, first, men wouldn't know how to act. That's the first thing that would happen.
Exactly. But here's the thing: all of the reasons why you shouldn't free the nipple would all be temporary. There's a theory that assaults would go up.
Yeah, I was going to say sexual assaults would probably go up.
Here's the thing: all of those things,
but maybe not.
No, they would. I definitely believe they would.
Because they say that confidence. People think that women that dress more provocative, so to speak, are actually more the victim of assault, but it's actually the ones that are covered up. That's a statistic for you.
I believe that.
It's because predators, they prey on the less confident, and a woman who got her, she's just loud and proud.
She's just breastfeeding on an island and waiting on for a ferry.
They're like, oh, she doesn't, this woman gives no fucks. I'm not going to mess with her.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you were saying.
But assaults, allegations, and harassment, catcalling would sky to the fucking moon. But here's the thing: after a certain amount of time, maybe a month, not a month, maybe a few, maybe a few months to a year, that number is gonna plummet to nearly zero. Because it's going to be normalized. Eventually.
What if you became numb to titties?
Like, eventually people would just get used to it. And it would be normalized. And it would be like you go back to lockdowns, people are like, oh, this would never happen. It's just people are going to start rioting. And never happened because people just got used to it. They accustomed to it.
We adapt.
I'm not comparing nipples to lockdowns. Let me make that very clear. It's a very different thing. But the sentiment is the same. Like catcalling, like, hey, honey, like stuff like that, skyrocket. But eventually, it would just plummet, and it would never be an issue again. It would just never be a factor. It would never be a problem. It would never be an issue. It would be completely normalized. So, yeah, you should totally free the nipple. Because, yeah, you might have short-term hurt for a long-term gain. Like, women might be more confident with themselves and their bodies eventually with freeing the nipple. I'd love to have a female perspective on that. I can't speak for women.
Not to mention the health effects. Bras are not good for women. I've heard extensively about this.
Oh, they do keep your breasts nice and perky.
They
though.
do keep them. That's
Like,
the advantage.
Have you seen titties in like native tribes in Africa
that have never been supported?
Never been supported. Like they're 30 and the nipples are touching their knees.
That's the advantage. But the wiring, and also back problems would go up.
Probably, yeah.
Back problems. We got to look at all the facts.
I mean, some women. Honestly, I think a lot of women would not free the nipple. I think they would just still keep it, because some women love bras. Some women love having bras for that support and the back, especially if you have a nice, heavy pair of knockers.
Yeah.
But yeah, free the nipple. 1,000% support it, ladies. If you want to walk on my street, titties out. I don't care. Here's the thing too. What if they're like 88 years old? No one wants to see that, dude.
But you know what? You can't. Now we're opening the door for age discrimination lawsuits.
No, if you free the nipple, that includes all nipples. But
that's what I'm saying. You can't discriminate.
Like if you're at the gym on the treadmill, you want to free the nipple. Like, you know, guys run shirtless on the treadmill, and it's like annoying.
Yeah, it's like you're a douche.
Like a guy topless in the gym is just like, all right, bro. All right, I see you. But a girl topless in the gym, that gym would be the most popular gym in town.
Well, I mean, that would be a hassle for her.
Yeah, be a nightmare.
That's just a lot of things just flying all over the place. Yeah.
But the idea that like this isn't allowed because of like my tan lines too, those are not allowed. Like that's not allowed because like of like your Puritan bullshit religious Catholic historical context kind of stuff is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's really stupid, in my opinion. Purity's a lie. All right, Christian. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
That's it for today.
All right, we went kind of long. We asked 4 questions. 4 questions.
Yeah, it's probably that long Batman story in the beginning. That took about 10 minutes.
Hey man, that was totally worth it. And we'll be back next week. Next week we're gonna have a guest. We're gonna have a virtual guest, my friend Mr. YLP from the Young Lions Perspective podcast, which is on Wrestle Addicts Radio, which is part of Ambiguous Podcast Solutions. You can see like the whole web here building up. He is a great wrestling podcaster. We're gonna have a lot of fun with him. So that's going to be great. That's coming to you next week. But this has been a Talking with Tarashuk podcast, the unknown, unnamed nonsense edition. My name is Will Tarashuk. It's T as in Thomas, Arashuk. It's right there on the window logo. Right there. You can see it, Tarashuk. Follow us everywhere podcasts can be found. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. Give us support. If you want to ask your own questions on this podcast, email me at will@apspodcast.com. It's will@apspodcast.com, and your questions will be added to the giant list of 130 questions and counting, Christian, and counting.
Yeah, saw that.
Your questions are also welcome, Christian. Don't forget that. Anything else you want to add? Your plugs, where we can go.
That's it. This has been an APS podcast brought to you by Cube Recording Studios. Live streaming audio, video. We take care of it all. That's it.
And remember to check out all of our other podcasts with interviews, such as my boss, Joe Malandrino, my cousin, Michael Tarashuk, other of my friends, other authors, serial entrepreneurs, life coaches, all that in the archives, anywhere podcasts can be found. Like us on TikTok, Instagram for smaller bits, funny, silly, ridiculous versions of this long-form podcast. We'll be back next week. And until then, y'all take care.